And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Inner Compass from AEG Games. In Inner Compass, you're playing as one of 4 players as the back of the box, searching for meaning in their everyday lives. You can make right life choices and go through a spectrum of different emotions and find the right emotions that you can find your inner compass, thus the name of the game. That's an interesting theme. There's a lot of games out there about emotions, but I'm always intrigued when AEG makes anything. In 2019 and 2018, AEG was one of the best companies, making some of the most played games that I've seen, games just really strong, amazing games. So I'm on board. I don't care what the theme is, although like I said, this theme intrigues me, and I really like the art of this game. Let's take a look. Each player is going to get their own board here where you'll have basically a white block or whatever color you are on top of this board. You're going to put your player piece out here on this randomly generated 2x2 grid that's out here. On a player's turn, they can have a free move, which basically means if you're in an area, so that you can see this guy's in a black square area, you can move to any other square in that area. So if I'm here, I can move here as a free move on my first turn. After that, you can move 1 in any space direction. In fact, you can't. It's not can. You must move 1 in that space direction. Then after you move that, you have a choice. You can either move again, or you can take a card that corresponds with the direction you moved in. So if I was here and I went here, I would get this card and add it to my hand. Now, that would not be maybe my best move. My best move might be to move up, where I would get this card, and since I moved up and took a card of the same color that I'm on, I get a bonus card from the pile here. Cards are of course replaced as the game goes by, and there's various amounts of the different cards. Now, once you're done doing that, you also can discard cards from your hand, and this is one of the main ways to get points here, where you're gaining enlightenment. To do that, you need to discard a certain number of cards based on whatever color it is. So you'll see over here, next to the board, there are different color blocks that are randomly placed here. This one shows a 2 on the blue, a 3 on the white, 2 gray, 3 red, and 1 yellow. If I discard 2 blues, I have to be on a blue square to do so. So if I discard 2 blues, I'm going to get 6 points. Then this moves to the bottom, and these all move up. If the X ever gets to the top for any reason, then that immediately goes to the bottom, and just pushes everything else up. So the oranges, you only need to discard 1 of those to make this happen, but it's also the rarest card in the deck. Also, when you do that, you'll take a color, you'll take one of your squares off of that same color. So here I would take it off of blue. If I already used that blue, I could use one of these 2. If all my blues are gone, I can do anything I want. And you're going to put it on the board in that space. If there's already a square of another player in that spot, then it costs you an extra card. And even if all 3 other players, we're playing a 4-player game, are in that spot, it would still just cost you 1 more card of that type. Now, as players do this, eventually they're going to clear a row or a column or a row. And when that happens, you're going to take one of your enlightenment tokens and place them on a scoring board. Each player has 2 of these tokens, and so the first time you pick which one of these you want to put it on. The first person to go there is going to get 3 enlightenment points. The second time you put it on a different one, and these are randomly generated at the beginning of the game. And the third time you need to do that, the game ends. And then you're going to get this inner compass. You found your inner compass, which is worth 3 points. And then everyone's going to add up their points. They're going to add up enlightenment points they got throughout the game, plus bonus points based on these. So for example, passion here, I put mine next to passion, and I'm going to score enlightenment points for the number of my cubes or my squares on anger spaces, the red spaces. Over here, it's on variety, so I get enlightenment points for having at least 2 of my player cubes in the same quadrant. And if I manage to do that in all 4 quadrants, I'll get 16 points. If I get 4 of these, I'll get 14 points. And like I said, all different ones that you can come through. Whoever has the most points is the winner. This game breaks the cardinal rule where they use colors in the game that correspond to player colors. I don't understand it. In this case, it specifically is the white player matches. There's a white cards and white things. I don't understand why that happened. The cards themselves, I have to say I love the artwork on these. It's pretty simple, but it shows the different emotions. I mean, pretty sure that's not anger. Wow, this lady hitting the roof overhead, probably because people up there are tap dancing. And here we got fear. They're very evocative, simple line drawings, and I like them. I like how this looks. The rest of the game, not quite as cool. I mean, these are just squares and colored cubes and things like that. The board has two sides. You can flip it to the other side, and here, when you remove them, you'll get special abilities based on which row you remove something from. So that gives a few more options. On the front, though, it pretty much tells you exactly what you can do. These tiles, again, the game doesn't really have it, other than the art. The art's fantastic. The rest of the game looks and feels okay. Now, that's a kind of a cool theme, but I think everybody who will ever play this game will agree in a joint unified chorus that the theme here is nothing. There's no theme in this. You essentially move, collect cards, use those cards to put out these, they keep calling them cubes. It drives me nuts. They're not cubes, but they put out the squares and then use those squares to make patterns or get points based on the different goals. That's the game. It is most certainly an abstract strategy game with this theme kind of thrown in there, which I was a little disappointed by, but I can get over that. It is what it is. So you're moving around. The game scales not too badly, mostly because you're really not doing anything to affect each other than making the costs for things a little bit more expensive and or being the first person to go for something gives you some points. I will say that more players makes the game more chaotic. It is infinitely better with fewer players because I can kind of set myself up for a future move, while with 4 players, you might as well not look at what cards are available till it's your turn. Not to mention the cycling of the points is going to change a lot more. I think the game is honestly infinitely worse with more players. But the game plays well. It's a pretty simple game. Get that free move, make a move, collect a card, or move again. Usually you want to collect cards because that's how you win. But sometimes you want to move again because you're trying to get to a certain spot. Use these cards. You definitely want to play with the advanced version. And so I played it, and it's smooth, works well. I'm just so bored playing this game. There's nothing interesting about it to me. I'm just putting out these squares. The advanced game gives you a little bit of option. You're going to, okay, red is at the top now. Now's the time to turn in my red cards. I have red cards, but I shouldn't turn them in because it's at the bottom because that's obvious. Or maybe I'm on a red square now. It won't be later, but forward planning is a little difficult to do in this game because you don't know what cards are going to come up. And even the forward planning you do, you can kind of set things up. But not once was I like, aha, this is a cool move. No, I got 6 points. Now you got 4 points, and I got 6, and then he got 4, and then I got 4, and then you got 6. You know, it's just this repetition of doing the same thing over again. And even the different goals are kind of yawn-inducing. Have a lot on red, have a lot next to red, have some in the corners, have them in the middle. This might have been interesting 20 years ago if I'd never seen it, but I've seen this sort of thing in so many games. I'm not sure what the unique thing about this game is. Maybe it's the direction you move, that's the card you get, and then if it's on the same color, you get the top card, but sometimes that direction you want to go, you just get lucky and the card's there. So there's a bit of luck that I'm not entirely comfortable with, but the biggest complaint I have against Inner Compass is just that I just wasn't interested. I'm really glad when the game's over. Not because I hated it, but because it was just kind of, move. And so, for me, this is a misstep from AEG, which is 1 out of 20, of the last they did. And some people really do enjoy it. No one in the groups that I have, but I've gone online, looked at other reviews, because I said, am I missing something? And I see that I'm not missing the way the game flows, but just different people have opinions, and that's fine. I really don't think this one will be a big hit for the company, just because it doesn't have that catch, that hook. The space-based roll dice, get some resources, just had a little bit of excitement to it. Ecos, oh, I'm calling out some bingo-esque and I'm building this cool thing. Here it's move, get a card, and I just don't see people being as thrilled about that one. You may find this one, but I suspect that this won't be on bargain bins before the end of the year. I don't know. Maybe it's just boring to me, but it really did make me a little sleepy. That's Inner Compass. Maybe I found my inner compass. Dice Tower Judgment, Emotion, Bored.